turning point for the emergence of a new Africa.
Hello and welcome to the program. I'm Victoria Ido. Network Africa this week takes you through the continent's major and most interesting stories we have come across. And here are some of them. As Zambia prepares to say goodbye to its president of 4 years, Michael Sata, it welcomes a moment in history when a white man becomes president of the country. Guy Scott, the country's vice president, is a first-generation Zambian born in Zambia but of British parentage.
I don't have any problem with Vice President Guy Scott acting as president in Zambia, because basically the party itself as Patriotic Front, they have him as a vice president, and the constitution stipulates that in case of demise of the incumbent, the vice president takes over, so I don't see any problem with that.
Then on Sunday, Tunisians were at the polls to elect a new parliament based on a new constitution passed in January. The elections are crucial, being the first since President Ben Ali was ousted from power in 2011. The home of the Arab Spring has been trying to stabilize politically since then. For our feature this week is an interview done by our friends from the Voice of America with a former U.S. diplomat for West Africa, who is currently serving as the Chief Operating Officer and Senior Fellow of the Center of Global Development, with a focus on U.S.-Africa relations and financial issues facing sub-Saharan Africa. That's the program in a wrap. We'll be right back. Stay with us. Welcome back to the program. President Goodluck Jonathan has sent his sincere condolences to the people of Zambia following the death of their president, Michael Sata. State media said the 77-year-old died on Tuesday night, having battled an undisclosed illness for weeks now. The last time he was seen in public was at a United Nations General Assembly, and even then he could not make it to his slot to address the assembly because of his illness. His death leaves a vacuum, though temporarily filled by the vice president, Guy Scott, who has been appointed president pending presidential elections set to hold in 90 days. While Mr. Scott is not new to politics in Zambia, he faces a stumbling block should he decide to contest.
Zambia's Guy Scott makes history as he becomes Africa's first white head of state in 20 years. This comes after the president, Michael Sata, died in a London hospital at the age of 77. In the capital, Lusaka, many residents were taken by surprise at the news of his death.
I just can't believe it. It's a very shocking news. Like, seriously, this is a great loss. I really feel bad.
The break of the news that the president has died, we are so sad. There must be something wrong in Zambia. So what we're supposed to do is to commit this country to God and to find out why is it happening only us to Zambians.
Scott, a Cambridge-educated economist born to Scottish parents, was Sata's vice president. He takes over as interim leader until an election is held in 3 months.
Arlen Scott, second lady.
Opinions seem to be divided over interim President Guy Scott becoming Africa's first white head of state in 20 years. Analysts say Scott is ineligible to run for the presidency in the election because of citizenship restrictions, leaving Defense Minister Edgar Lungu and Finance Minister Alexander Chikwanda the most likely contenders for the ruling Patriotic Front Party's ticket. Some Zambians do not see anything wrong with Scott's appointment since they believe constitution procedure need to be followed.
I don't have any problem with Vice President Guy Scott acting as president in Zambia, because basically the party itself as Patriotic Front, they have him as a vice president, and the constitution stipulates that in case of demise of the incumbent, the vice president takes over, so I don't see any problem with that.
Whenever somebody is Zambian, he deserves that seat. Yeah, for me, I don't see it as a serious case for him to be or not to be a president, but automatically has to be a president.
I think Mr. Guy Scott is qualified to do the job, because they wouldn't have chosen him to be vice president if he was not qualified to do that.
Other Zambians said a white president will draw them back haunting memories of their country before it gained independence.
It's not right. 50 years after independence, I think we're supposed to have our own indigenous person acting in that position, because this actually puts the country in a very awkward position, you see. So I think in the PF they're going to have a crisis because they did not actually set a standard.
Scott is a lively character who has caused diplomatic controversy in the past, describing South Africans as backward in an interview with Britain's Guardian newspaper last year. Defense Minister Edgar Lungu says Zambia will hold a presidential election to choose a permanent successor to Sata within 3 months.
The figures are finally in for the parliamentary elections in Tunisia. The country's leading secular party, Nida Tunes, reportedly got 85 seats in the new 270-member parliament following Sunday's polls.
Results released by Tunisia's electoral authorities show the country's main secular party, Nida Tunes, has won 85 seats in the new 217-member parliament, while the Islamist party Ennahda secured 69 seats. On Sunday, Tunisians voted in a parliamentary election that was one of the last steps in the North African country's transition to democracy after the 2011 uprising against Zine al-Abidine Ben Ali. Ennahda, the first Islamic movement to secure power after the Arab Spring revolts, conceded defeat on Monday in the election that was only the second free vote since Ben Ali's autocratic rule ended. One of the most secular Arab countries, Tunisia has been hailed for an example of political compromise after overcoming a crisis between secular and Islamist movements and approving a new constitution this year that allowed the elections. With no outright majority, Nida Tunes will seek to form a coalition with partners in negotiations that will likely last weeks before a new government is set up. Ennahda has called for a national unity government, including its Islamist movement.
We'll take a break here, and when we come back, Somali terror group Al-Shabaab loses its last stronghold in Somalia. Do stay with us.